Welcome to the Channel Connect podcast, where we talk about the latest technical innovations from our partner vendors. My name is James Dollery. I'm a technical manager and architect at Ingram Micro. Today we're going to be talking about VM Essentials, what it can do for our partners, some of the market gaps that it fills, and how we can help customers with their current issues as part of our ongoing series of virtualization alternatives. Today we've got a treat for you. I'm joined by Mr. Ryan Brown. Good to see you, Ryan. He is our technical evangelist at HPE, worldwide CTO, and he's going to be talking to us about VM Essentials.
No, I'm excited to be here. This is just such a big conversation for customers today, such a focal point. There's an awful lot of concern, and corollary, there's an awful lot of excitement about the message with our announcement of VM Essentials.
Awesome. I'm glad you're here. So a lot of things happening today that I'm hearing about. As you know, there's been somewhat of a bit of a let's say, situation in regards to some of the licensing of the virtualization solutions that are currently out there. Hearing a lot of things. Ingram Micro is a big distributor. We have a lot of an eclectic mix of partners, small, medium, and large. And they're sort of coming to us with situations in regards to what they're seeing out there from cost and licensing from what their customers are coming to them for. So it kind of leads us to VM Essentials. What inspired HPE to create, bring to market VM Essentials and to help out with this product?
So I think there's a couple of forces at play here that we really need to consider, but the elephant in the room is, to your point, there's been a massive inflection point in the industry, and this catalyst of this major licensing change has really inspired the opportunity. I think ambitiously, we could all look for how we could take our R&D dollars in the vendor community to positively inspire customer experiences. Mm-hmm. But when you have such a major event like we've seen today, I talk to customers every day of the week where there is a 3x to 5x on average cost of change in licensing. Mm-hmm. And so this catalyst is doing a couple of things. Obviously, it is forcing customers to think about how are they investing, what is the ROI on technology. It's such a major change that it's not just a budget challenge. For some customers, this is damaging to their overall mission statement. Mm-hmm. Right? So there's some things to consider here. But I think on the plus side, it's forcing a lot of us right now to do things that we should have done a decade ago. Mm-hmm. Right? I think we've been talking about this idea of multi-cloud diversity. Mm-hmm. We've been talking about double-clicking and looking at things like microservices, containerization, and having a better automation and orchestration offering ubiquitous services across all of our clouds. But it's been very, very cost effective. That right-click new VM, mm-hmm. for all of the things we know we could have been doing, there hasn't been a big tax. And so I think this is, quite frankly, number one, a catalyst that's going to inspire change. But it's not just going to be, where do I go next? And where is that next vendor lock-in that I'm going to survive in for the next 5 years? It's causing customers to really think, what am I going to do strategically for the long term? Mm-hmm. So that is, I think, the opportunity for a company like HPE to really double-click and introduce options for customers.
And in regards to customers, looking at this as an alternative to virtualization, obviously it's something new to market. How would you approach some of our partners out there in regards to this being a new offering to make their customers feel comfortable to move forward with something like this?
Right. So I think the key piece to think of today is, number one, there is an 80% stake in one platform today in the industry. So we're very comfortable with that. Mm-hmm. Next to that, there is very little clustering of technology, right? And so I think what you actually look at, if you look across the spectrum of the top 20 solutions out there, there's a very core conversation around the KVM platform. So while it's diversified across a number of different platforms and vendors, there are an awful lot of virtual machines, millions of virtual machines, quite frankly, that exist on that platform. Mm-hmm. The big challenge it's not commercially viable. It's not being driven from a tier one manufacturer, which means there's no reference architectures. It's not being sold into big enterprise or government, which means there isn't a technical community, right? If it can't be sold into those organizations, you're never going to get the masses of people building, qualifying, training against it. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that, you know, if you can't sell there, it can't be sold anywhere. So I think that's what's exciting for us. Number one, we're leveraging a platform that has millions of customer experiences running today, but it is now being made available to the industry in an enterprise mission critical capability, right? So this promises the opportunity for things like ISV support, right? If you're on a downloaded project that is free from the internet, chances are the major data protection vendors aren't building a data protection API. If I can't back up my company's virtual machines, I can't put my data there. If there isn't a ransomware strategy, if there isn't a strategy to get me into public cloud and back, all of a sudden this ecosystem isn't viable. So I think for me, why should customers be excited? Number one, it's not a ground up brand new platform. There are thousands and thousands of customers and millions of virtual workloads running on it today. Good. But the promise of a tier one reference architecture available to be consumed, as well as the partner ecosystem that HPE can drive, I think so that's what customers should be excited about now.
Perfect. What about ROI and cost? If we were to compare what VME offers to customers today, what is the benefit that they're getting from an ROI if you were to compare it to, say, competitive solutions in costs?
So I think the key piece here is that we have gone to market with the intention to be disruptive, right? I want the hypervisor to be a strategic technical portion, but quite frankly, not a consideration in budget. So if you talk to us today, if you are purchasing one of our private cloud strategies, it comes embedded with VME licensing. So when you buy my brand new PCBE disaggregated HCI, it comes with VME built in as we talk about this next rev. So we'll be talking about these spring announcements and how we're going to market to package this, but you'll actually have to remove it. It'll be part of that. So the intention here as we build these products is that number one, it's disruptive. And number two, as you think about the hypervisor, it's not the budgetary piece that is driving it. It should be about the value, the overall ecosystem, the catalog of services that you gain access to. And this is something we're really excited to talk about overall in the HPE GreenLake experience. But what is the ultimate, brass tacks? Today we're talking about, quite frankly, a fraction of the cost. We measure it in how many dollars per month per socket. And that really is the type of conversation we want to have. Something that's very much going to change the conversation that's happening.
Yeah, I'd say, and per socket, considering the quantity of cores that are coming on CPUs these days, and the move, certainly some competitive solutions to move to per core licensing. I think sticking with us per socket is great ROI, right?
I think there's two things. I think there is the customer sentiment, right? There is the perceived honesty and transparency in the cost of software. And it is something that feels good. So it's the right thing to do, right? When someone can deliver and make a choice on how to technically enable their virtual workloads, the types of core density, and it doesn't directly impact as a tax, I think that's a feel-good conversation. The other piece is, as we look to these new licensing models that are in the industry, virtually everyone is building on a core floor. So no matter what you deploy, even if they're 8-core processors, we see customers who are paying licensing 5 and 6 times greater than that because that's the floor of the entry level to that feature that they're leveraging. So I think there's a lot of transparency here. There's going to be an awful lot of cost savings. And again, I think it's that general conversation that customers are going to have where they understand how they're investing, the overall costs. If I need an 8-core processor, great. If it's a 128-core processor, even better. But that understanding, I think, is very important to the customer conversations I'm having today.
Awesome. What about any sort of real-world examples right now, implementations? HPE has obviously been working on this for a while. I'm sure there's some customers that are currently using it. What sort of drove those customers into that, and how did it integrate into their existing infrastructure?
So I think for most customers today, the fact is that they are going to operate in a multi-hypervisor environment for the foreseeable future.
Mhm,
Definitely while they explore the viable options that they have,
mhm.
but there will be some workloads that run on different hypervisors and quite frankly on different hyperscalers as well. So I think number one, there's a conversation about how is this going to integrate in?
Mm.
And is that a dev test for the next 6 months or year while they evaluate, or are they moving into production much more rapidly? And I think there's a different customer comfort and pace for each story. But absolutely, this is out there today in beta for some customers. They are leveraging our evaluation software to be able to test and evaluate in their labs.
Mhm.
There's other customers today right across the country who are purchasing and delivering this into production as we speak.
Awesome. In regards to competitors out there, what would you say like a features or features that would set aside or put VM Essentials, above their competitors?
So that's a tough question because I think the one thing that we all measure it on is the comfort of what we've done for the past 2 decades
Mm.
in on-prem virtualization. And that's a high bar. The feature list that exists today for what customers have access to is very, very impressive. As soon as we measure the rest of the virtualization platforms available to customers today and their feature list, it falls off very, very quickly. When you get to that second or third option,
Yeah.
the gap in features is absolutely massive. So I think from that perspective, I'm pretty excited. When we talk about the core feature sets, they're not easy to access, and it seems simple. A basic HA cluster. I need the ability to dynamically move virtual machines from one host to another for ease of maintenance as well as survivability of hardware failures. I need the capability to import VMs. I need the capability to be able to dynamically place resources. All of these things seem like table stakes features.
Mhm.
The fact of the matter is, as soon as you get out of that couple of first positions, it's your best bet, right? Your best effort. And in most of these situations, it's not an even distribution of features. So, what am I excited about? Number one, these HA features, the capability that for the 95% of customers are going to deliver that core requirement. Good. I think the best part that we can talk about today is a message where we have reference architectures that allow customers to deploy with confidence.
Awesome. And what about people aren't familiar with, obviously there's a trial that people can download and try out. From a management perspective, say somebody's used to other hypervisors, what's the management look like?
So I think this is pretty exciting for us because, again, as we were just talking about, there's going to be a mix. It's not a line in the sand where a customer is going to move everything over to VME tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
There is going to be a transition period as customers test and measure and then make their eventual migration story. So one of the things we're really excited about is by leveraging the VME manager. For most customers today, they'll be able to sit that side by side with their existing estate and from one place provision, manage, and monitor what's happening across their virtual infrastructure, and then have a very easy on-ramp to be able to migrate more resources into VME in the future. So this combined with what we're doing in the GreenLake platform, I think is really going to bring to bear the simple hardware architecture, the strategy to be able to see all of my private cloud in one place, and the tool sets and catalogs to be able to get them to that eventual next outcome very, very simply and
Awesome.
securely.
So I want to kind of run something by you in regards to strategy for some of our partners with VME in mind. And how they want to approach a customer that's looking to get back some cost control in their environment. So one of the strategies that we were kind of looking at from a VME perspective, um, starting a new cluster with them. I know some of the biggest concerns on costs that people have been seeing, certainly on renewals. There's been feature reductions to regain some of those cost controls. So as those sort of come up, if we were to start a new cluster, not to get too technical, but if we were to start a new cluster and start to move some of those workloads down, are we still able to manage both environments through VME?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's a core part of the architecture. There's definitely critical mass.
Mhm.
And so as we think about this, yes, we do need a cluster of servers. If we're doing this in a cluster with high availability, we need shared storage, right? So there is that critical mass to be able to build a highly available ecosystem.
Mhm.
Now, can I build this in a software-defined standalone node for QA and testing? Absolutely. But as customers go to migrate over their business critical workloads for production, I think those standards that we know, like, 3 hosts in a cluster to be able to build quorum,
Mhm.
shared storage to be able to move resources between nodes for maintenance or failure requirements, right? So there absolutely is some investment to be put there. The thing I really like, as we mentioned, is it's not going to be focused on the hypervisor.
Right.
That is very much going to be building in what the customer can take advantage of. Virtual cores, virtual memory and storage directly attributed to business value.
Okay, awesome. And how would you say a partner new to this, what's the best way for them to get started?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. Number one, absolutely get out onto Tech Pro. There is certification videos that, even if you're not looking to pass an exam, they are a really good tool to be able to see people building, walking you through the nuances, the things you want to know to be able to make really strong advisory statements for customers. I think that's good. The other piece is, you know what? Get out, get the demo, get it into your environment.
Mhm.
It runs nested in a lab. So you can actually run VME inside of another VM. So even if you don't have this very large and impressive lab environment where you can turn over swaths of hardware, boy, you can cut a couple of VMs and build this for testing right now. So download, test, play, become proficient. I think that's where the confidence comes from. And as we have the ability to be more confident in recommending these new tools to customers,
Mhm.
I think that's really what is going to turn the tide for customers really jumping on board and understanding, where am I going next?
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much. I think that's obviously another very powerful solution from Hewlett Packard Enterprise. Very much appreciated. If anybody wants to book a demo or go over a technical presentation with Ingram Micro, please reach out to your Ingram Micro representative, and we'll put you in touch with the appropriate resources. Thank you.